Alice, would you like to make your announcement first?
Sure.
Okay.
I have a brand new tripod by Photo Pro. I'm trying to sell. Can you see that? You probably can't. Let me bring it
Well,
back.
we can see it occasionally.
Oh,
Now you can see it. It's not even been out of the box. It is a XGO Max, and it packs up to 18 inches long, and it's only 4 pounds. And it includes the ball head. But if anyone is interested, and if you would like a tripod to travel with, this is a great tripod. The reason I'm not keeping it, and I didn't even open it, is because it's way too short for me. I think it tells you here that it goes to 67 inches, a little over 67 inches tall. But it's not tall enough for me. And so I'm not keeping it. I'd like to sell it for $200, but that's including the ball head. And if anyone's interested, you might go on to the Photo Pro website, and they've got a couple of really good videos about this tripod, and it's the XGO Max. So just so you might know.
And Photo Pro is FOTOPRO.
FOTOPRO. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you,
And
Alice.
you know who owns this in our club? Susan Stieritz and Kathy Hotstetler both have one of these tripods. They saw it in action in Arizona when they were together, and they saw the pro using it, and they walked up and said, wow, what about your, we want to know about your tripod. And she told them all about it, and they ended up buying one. So if you're interested too, you might call one of them or both and ask them how they like it. So that would be someone you know.
Thank you, Alice.
Yeah.
All right. And we would like to announce our continuing board members and new president. So continuing in the board this coming year, starting in May is when the terms begin. Don Burnell is vice president, Tim Lesser is treasurer, Dorothy Dentler is secretary. I will become past president. And did I say David Powers will be president? Where is David?
And David,
Hey.
thank Liz for her work this year. It's not been an easy year, and she did a great job.
Yeah.
fabulous job. Fabulous.
Thank you. I really appreciate David stepping up. Then our other remaining board members are Courtney Litwin, Steve Shining, Evelyn Jorgensen, John Clekus, and Alice Garland. Now, in counting those up, I realized that since I replaced Colleen as past president, and we have a new president, we still need one more board member. So we will work on that. If anybody here is interested in running for the board position or volunteering for it, lots of times we get like one volunteer and
I would.
they get the nomination.
Lynn,
You see it now?
I would. Colleen would. I'd be on the board.
You like that?
Sure. But it has to be okay with everyone else.
And then, yeah, although our bylaws say that we have elections, it's always been like, who can you rope in? And we get one person. Hey, they did. So, Colleen, I will put your name as the volunteer, and I'll put out a note to see if anybody else wants to also volunteer, in which case we would have an election. But the last time, about 5 years ago, when I said, okay, we're going to have an election because 2 people are interested in a same position.
Lynn, if someone else is interested, I would happily concede.
Okay, well, I'm just going to put it out there because that's the way they need to do it. But it's unlikely, just from my past experience. I mean, I know that we have a great club, but commitments are supposed to be well thought out, and I
Sure.
appreciate people doing that. Okay. April 14th, next week, is the deadline for choosing your photos for our celebration night, which is the week after that. So April 21st is our celebration night, but Dennis needs time to get the slideshow together. And
Can you turn it up?
so we're trying to make sure everything.
I don't know how. Know how?
By the 14th.
On that thing? I have no idea.
There might be a tiny bit of wiggle room in there, like 12 hours. I don't want to put that on Dennis, but I wouldn't want anybody to say, oh, darn, I forgot, and I have them ready, and I just missed it by 10 minutes. And no, don't do that. Go ahead and see if we can work it out to get your photos in.
Listening. Yeah.
At the celebration, there will be door prizes. We're going to get some gift certificates from local businesses that are interested in photography, like Spokane Art Supply, R&R Printing, and we'll get one from Amazon too for people who love Amazon. And so we'll have several drawings that night for people who are in attendance.
Don't know
You have
how
to be
either.
there to get a door prize. And they're not going to be irrelevant. You're going to be able to use them. So spread the word so that we get lots of attendance that night.
Lynn,
Yes,
where is the celebration supposed to take place?
right here on Zoom.
Where?
Here on Zoom.
Pseudo place.
Okay, is there anything we have to bring to eat or drink? Whatever
may
you want to
bring-
eat or drink while you're watching.
You may bring
Yes?
your own bottle right to your own desk.
What's
In a
that?
minute, in a minute, Dennis is going to explain for us again the whole choosing your photo thing. But,
I have one question, please. Have the subjects been picked already? The subjects for next year? Have they been chosen?
Have we done that?
Yes,
Yes.
we did.
Yes, we did that in a one of these.
Could you
meetings.
email them?
We can. I don't remember what we did.
I
Email
have, Lynn, if
subject.
you can't find them, I have them.
Okay.
What date it is, she'll remember. She can go back to her email.
Okay. So now thinking about choosing your
Oh,
photos
thanks,
for
Ben.
this celebration,
You got
there's
it.
been plenty of times where I'm sitting there and the judge has just given a score, and
They're in a meeting.
I want to say, wait a minute. Wait a minute. If you only knew this funny story about it, you'd give me a better score. Or, I just want to say 10 words about it. Or I wanted to explain how difficult it was, or how accidental it was, whatever it was. So this is your chance to do it that way with 2 photos
Lynn,
of choice.
I'm losing your voice when you look down.
Okay.
When you look straight out, I can hear you a lot better.
Part of
Thank
it, I
you,
think, is
Courtney.
that, Lynn,
Yeah.
there's a lot of background noise from other people's microphones. If everybody could either mute or whoever's in charge could mute all, I think that would help.
Okay, I'll mute everybody and then Lynn, you can unmute yourself.
Okay.
Everybody.
Okay, so Lynn, you just need to unmute yourself.
That work?
Yeah,
Okay, I don't know how much you missed, Sister Madonna, but the point of my long speech was you get to make the comments for your picture that you submit. And Dennis is going to explain to us how that is going to happen. So, Dennis, you want to unmute yourself and tell us again how that is going to work?
Okay. Well, there's an online form that everybody hopefully has a copy of that. You know, Lynn had already sent that out. And if you need, no, you have.
Lynn, you're muted now. Lynn?
Okay, I did send that out once, but I think we need to send it again. I will send it again.
Okay. So, anyway, it's pretty straightforward. Basically, it asks, it's an online form that you just need to fill up. It asks for your name, your phone number, in case I have any questions. That's the reason for that. And then you're allowed 2 entries. And for each entry, there are 2 things that we're asking. Number 1 is the title of your entry. And the best way to do that is to go back to your submissions, to go back to WordPress and just copy and paste the title. That's what I would suggest, so that, you know, it's the exact same title and there's no confusion as to which one you're really referring to. So that's what I would suggest. Just copy and paste, put it on that entry. And then the second one, it's actually optional, the second data, and that's a description or a caption for your entry. And this is what Lynn has been talking about, is, you know, describe the situation where, or the special meaning, or whatever it is that you want to say or convey about the photo. And we're limited to 25 words. Is that right, Lynn?
25, and I cheated and went a little over to 27.
Okay. So there is no, you know, there is no hard and fast rule as far as that limit is concerned. You know, it's not programmed to say, oops, you've exceeded by 1 character. There's no limitation. So the reason why we're asking for 25 words or less is for our MC, is it Steve Whitaker who's going to be our MC?
No, John
No?
Lepper.
John Lepper. So that John will have time to describe your images. And so that's really the reason there. So again, it's pretty straightforward. For those of you that have already attempted to do this and have seen the form, do you have any questions?
The only other thing, Dennis, is that it has to be a photo that you submitted.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'll be looking that up in our database, and if I don't find it there, then it's not going to be there.
This means you don't have to resubmit. We're not asking anybody to submit another photo. We're asking you to just give the title of the photos you already submitted, of the ones you want from the photos you already submitted this year. So if you need to remember what you submitted, just go to your submissions page where you always upload, and you'll be able to click and see what you uploaded.
So just pick 2 photos that you like and give us a comment, whatever you'd like to comment about them.
Right. Does that make sense, sister? Oops. You're muted, sister, sorry.
Sister, you need to unmute yourself.
Up in the top of your window, there, if you hover the hand up there, you'll see mute. If you click
You can
on that,
also hold the space bar down when you want to talk.
sister, just hold the space bar down and you can be heard.
I think she uses an iPad, so.
It's not an iPad.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll talk to you later, sister. Make sure you have, if you have any questions, okay? I'll call you. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Hello, Rosemary.
Hi, we had trouble getting in. We were using the old link that you sent a couple weeks ago, And then we called Steve and he just forwarded what you emailed, or not you, I guess it was Dorothy Detler supposedly emailed us today, but we didn't receive it.
Okay.
So
Well,
for
you're
some
here
reason,
now.
we were stuck on the email from a couple weeks ago and it wasn't getting us in.
Right.
Well, we're happy you made it.
We're glad you're here. We haven't started the judging yet. We're just about to. So,
Okay.
Alice, where are you, Alice? Going to allow Alice to introduce our judge. Who wants to guess who our judge is? Alice, will you please introduce our judge? You're
Alice,
muted.
wanna
You're muted.
unmute?
Unmute.
Okay,
There you go.
sorry. I think we all know our one and only John Lepper, who has been a fabulous president in the past, wonderful photographer, and we have invited him to judge, or I did, invite him to judge this month. So, John, we're very happy to have you.
Well, thank you. I thought I should just do this now. I made some notes, so I thought this is probably what you're going to see most of the time. So I want to make sure you see how thin my hair is. Okay, there. I'll try not to do that again. The last time I judged was last year, right when COVID hit. I think we did digital night at the church. And then I think I had to do print night, and we just kind of emailed out the comments or scores, or I'm not sure how they were sent out. So it's been a year. And I wished I didn't have to follow Ira Gardner Jr., but I picked April not knowing that Ira was going to be, judging the month before. And I'm sure I will not be quite as verbose or, well-spoken as Ira, that's for sure. And the other thing I'd like to say is, this group right here, mostly, and there's a few missing, you're the group that's kept the club together through this entire year. We used to get 70, 75 images for digital night. And tonight we have 45. So, I mean, we're still doing well, but we're going to have to encourage some of those people that haven't been showing up to start coming back to the meetings when we get back to the church in the fall. And the other thing is I'm probably a little easier judging than Ira or even Steve Shining. So just kind of keep that in mind. I looked and I averaged 11.5 points, and there were 18 claps, like people who got 13 or more. So either, but then this is this is right here to the best photographers in the club. So I guess that's maybe just the way it works out. So should I go ahead and just share my screen and?
Yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
Get this up here and whoop. I hid the share button. Okay, what the heck is this? Okay, now I got to figure out what is on the page here. Whoop. Am I not sharing again? Here, oh, here we go. Okay, can anybody see this? Did I screw something up?
We just see you.
Okay, then I did. I got to go back to share. I've got the. I was hoping I wouldn't have to do too much of this back and forth stuff. It says whiteboard. Oh, here we go. Google Chrome. There we go. And we'll make this big. So we start out with digital general color, correct? That's where you want to start?
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
And
before we start, there are 45 images. Do you guys just want to go straight through, or how are you feeling?
I'm okay to go straight through unless
Okay.
somebody
Well,
needs a
no, we're-
bathroom
yep.
break.
So we'll just go straight through. So digital general color. Boatload.
All right. Well, this certainly is an interesting picture. You know, things always have impact when they're, you know, things that we don't see very often. And this is obviously one that I've very rarely seen, if ever. It's pretty oversaturated. I don't mind that so much, but, you know, I'm sure this is not quite what it looked like. I like the orange and the blue. They're complements and they really kind of pop out in that saturated blue. There's some great reflections. It looks a little bit grainy, and I noticed some of the other pictures did too. So I don't know if that's just, you know, because we're putting them online and, you know, looking at them through Zoom. I don't know, but it might be just a little bit, you know, they might have pushed the saturation or something, because there's some kind of, I don't know if you can see my cursor, there's some kind of funny lines around some of the clouds up here. There's one little spot in the sky, probably a bird. I think I would probably crop that, or, you know, spot that out. And it would be nice if a person could zoom in closer, or maybe, you know, try to just get some of the detail shots. But I realize this is probably not an area that you're allowed to just wander into. And so, you know, you had to shoot this from a distance. So I scored this 3 for composition, 4 for impact, and 3 for technical.
Boatload by Butch Shop, 10 points.
All right. I'd like to find out where that was. Whoops, now I gotta move this over to get to the little button. There you go.
Coming through.
Okay. Is this image big enough? Can I, if I stretch it out too much, I can't get to the little button over here to change images.
That looks good, John.
Okay. Okay. Coming through. Well, this is a fun image, and, you know, looks like somebody has been playing with a topaz filter and doing some masking. And so, you know, you can mask in topaz. I don't know if that's how they did this or if they did something in Photoshop, but maybe they were inspired by Tim Lesser's Education Night. And so I compliment the maker on trying some new techniques. Looks like they might have even tried to put a light on the front of the steam engine here, and maybe do some of the, you know, little rays of light coming out from the yellow globe right here. The engine's a little bit squished. I don't know why if that was on purpose or if it just happened when they were doing some of the processing. It's a fun one. And I scored this one 4 for composition, and 4 for impact, and 4 for technical.
Coming through by Donald Burnell, 12 points.
Way to go, Don.
Flying high.
Okay, well, I can certainly see why the photographer captured this. I mean, there's nothing more fun than a couple kids in a kite and on the Oregon coast, probably. I think there might be just a little too much going on in the picture. It's a lovely picture, but, you know, to kind of take it to the next level, you really need to have a real single, you know, center of interest. And if these were your kids or your grandkids, you might have been able to, you know, get close to one of them, shoot up at them and then up towards the kite, or, you know, do something to kind of eliminate some of the stuff that's going on. But I can certainly see why you took the picture, and it's a great photograph. But I think there's just a little too much happening, you know, to kind of take it to the next level. And I scored this 3 for composition, 3 for impact, and 3 for technical.
Flying high by Lori Carlton Smith, 9 points. Golden Evening.
All right, Golden Evening. Well, I can tell you that it does not look like this from Steptoe Butte now. Tim Lesser and I were there yesterday and there's very little green and it's pretty drab looking. So I would not go down there, maybe till next month. But this is a scene that hopefully everybody in the club has seen and captured at some point. This one's kind of different because it has this sort of amber cast. I don't know if that's just from the sun, shining and, the color of the sun, or if they, placed, some kind of a little filter over it or what. It's kind of hard to tell if it's very sharp. Lots of times down there's a haze or dust and, even though, you're taking a picture of something that's quite a ways away and it loses some of its sharpness, but it doesn't really look as sharp as I'd like it to be. And the only couple things you might try to sort of lighten up the barn down here a little bit, because that is kind of one of the centers of interest. And then maybe just a slight little gradient at the top to kind of darken those top two corners so your eye doesn't go up there. And I scored this one 4 for composition, 4 for technical, 4 for impact, and 3 for technical.
Golden Evening by Steve Shining, 11 points.
Okay, and this is a photo that was judged by Steve Shining, so I'll read his comments that he gave me over the phone. This very beautiful night scene of our falls and bridge. Bridge not level, it's going uphill to the south. I would tone down the bridge street lights and the pavilion lights up here. Good exposure on the bridge and all the other areas, sharp and in focus throughout. And he scored it 4 for composition, 5 for impact, and 4 for technical.
Monroe Street Bridge by John Lepper, 13 points.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Powder Pink Rose.
All right. Well, during the pandemic, I tried to photograph some flowers a couple times in the house. I got a couple of those little LumaCube lights. And so I was trying to use those. And I'll tell you, I appreciate flower photographers, especially Evelyn and Jan Tenold, because I never got anything that was as good as this. So I was, humbled by that experience, that's for sure. I like the softness of this photo, and this is kind of what I was trying to capture, but I never really got that. I can see why they kind of picked a square format, to really helps keep your attention right in the middle of this flower. There's a funny little blue band down here at the bottom by the petal. I don't know what causes that. And there's a little bit there, but once I saw it, I couldn't not see it, which was too bad. And I would suggest maybe cropping a little bit tighter and maybe you could get rid of that. And the light vignetting here works for me. A lot of times judges don't like that, but I think it works pretty good on this flower. So I scored this one 4 for composition, 4 for impact, and 4 for technical.
Powder Pink Rose by Beverly Hardin, 12 points.
Right. Nice shot. I think Bev posted a whole bunch of flower pictures today on Facebook.
Oh, I'll check them out.
Okay, here's another picture that was
Spokane
judged by Steve Shining. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Okay, Spokane's goat.
All right. We all should recognize this goat. So here's Steve's comments. Well, we certainly have brightened up the goat. A very different process and way of handling the subject and its colors, but very pleasing to the eye. A few areas could have been toned down in the upper right. So I up here. And Steve judged this or scored this 4, 4, 4. So 4 for composition, 4 for technical, and 4 for impact.
Spokane Scout by Dan Harris, 12 points.
All right. I don't think Dan was able to get on, so I'll make sure he knows what he's got his score, and I'll read the comments to him.
Stairs to Rainier.
Okay, awesome outdoor scene. And it's an area that I've climbed the mountain. I've wandered around as a tourist, but that was way before I had a camera. And I definitely need to go back. And I just always kind of hesitate because I know it's going to be crowded, but I guess I have to put up with that because it's gorgeous. So nice landscape. The stairs give you your place for your eye to land in amongst all this busy brush and snow. So you kind of land on those stairs and then you slowly follow the stairs up into an S and end up at Mount Rainier. And along the way, you see a couple people. So that kind of gives you an idea of scale. There's some trees over here on the right edge, which some people would probably say take those out, but they're not really bothering me because they keep me from slipping off the page on that side and keeps me, focused back on the mountain. The colors look, true. The focus is great. It's nice and sharp. I think if I could do anything, I'd probably take out this sign right here, about having your dog on a leash.
Oh.
Yeah, because it just doesn't fit in this, natural setting. I tried holding my finger over the people to see if it would improve it, if you didn't see the people, but it didn't really, change it. I think I kind of like the people there just because they give you that sense of scale. So I scored this one 4 for composition, 4 for impact, and 5 for technical.
Four, 4, 5.
Right.
Okay. Stairs to Rainier by Steve Whitaker, 13 points.
All right. Guess I'll have to ask Steve where to go. I mean, to Rainier.
Still life of vases.
Well, I can certainly see why the photographer took this picture. And I've made pottery for years and years. And so I really am, impressed by the 2 pieces of ceramics here with the, the Native American patterns on them. But this is always a hard one for judges because, we can see why you're attracted to something and then you photograph it, but it's really more about the other person's artwork, the pottery. I mean, the composition is good. The colors are good. The focus is good. Everything's good, but, I don't really know if it's taken it to the level that we'd like to, see. So I say it's more of a great record shot. I'm sure the museum or the maker of these vessels would love to have this picture. The only thing I tell you, when you see something like this, maybe if you could zoom in to some little area of detail where you couldn't really recognize, what you're photographing, it'd be more the pattern and color. But I'm really not sure, what to say, but I understand why you took the picture. So I gave this 3 for composition, 3 for impact, and 4 for technical because it is well done.
Still life of vases by Donald Burnell, 10 points.
All right. Donald gets around. He must have been in the Southwest.
Superior.
Okay, when this popped up and right away I'm going, wow, because I like this kind of subject matter. I know it's not for everybody, but I've always liked, man-made things, and I've always liked, rust and grunge and all that kind of stuff. So when I looked at it, I saw the license plate Montana. So I was thinking, Superior, Montana. And then I saw Libby, Montana. And then as I looked around, I finally saw the word Superior stamped in the metal on the door here. And I can see why the person was attracted to this. It's got lots of color and lots of texture. I hope they zoomed in and got some, shots of texture, some abstract things that they could use. The boards or whatever they are over to the side over here are a little distracting because they're light colored. I don't know if cropping that out would help or not, because I really like this sign down here. This bus may have been used by a bluegrass band. That's what I think, because it says bluegrass music aged to perfection. So, and it is kind of fun to read the stickers and stuff. So I scored this 3 for composition, 4 for impact, because it does have some impact, and 3 for technical.
Excuse me, guys. Superior by Jean Alleman, 10 points. Surf's Up.
All right, this tells a nice story. Most of the time when you have a picture with a person in it, it does help tell a story. We can all kind of imagine ourselves being there. And it looks like this young man has not been in the water yet. His trunks look pretty dry. So he may be, checking out the surf, looking to see, if it's good or, where to go in. I can see why they chose the pano to kind of give that feeling of that you feel when you're at the beach and, it just seems like it goes on forever. It might have helped maybe to crop a little bit off on the right side here. There's this one bright spot. And I think if that part was cropped out, it'd still be kind of a pano. And I don't know if you'd really lose anything. It would be nice if the young man had been standing in a little bit lighter spot. And I don't know if the photographer has already lightened him up a little bit or not, but you might try coming in either with a gradient or just a brush and see if you can't just lighten him up a little bit. I think it would make him really kind of pop out a little bit more. So I scored this 3 for composition, 4 for impact, and 4 for technical.
Surf's Up by Tony Horpel, 11 points.
All right, Tony.
The Pause That Refreshes.
Yeah, when I saw this one, the color just blew me away right away. That red, dashboard in that truck is just, oh man, you just want to lick it. It looks like a big sucker. Pretty amazing. Anyway, so I started looking around this picture, and right away I thought, I think I've been to this spot. And I think this is that garage gas station right off the side of the road between St. John and Lamont. And I went down there once and nobody was around. We were kind of afraid to go in there. So we found a neighbor and he told us, oh no, that guy does not like photographers anymore. He used to let tour groups in and they, messed his place up so much, went in his house, used his bathroom, but now it's off limits. So I started thinking, well, maybe this is a really old photograph. And then I looked over at the lady some more and I thought, I think this is a composite. And I'm pretty sure it is. And if it is, it's really well done and lots of fun. And there's only a handful of people in the club that could do this. And there's only one that I can think of that loves trucks and cars and would spend this much time on a picture. So it'll be interesting to see if I'm right on who did it. And one of my negative comments was going to be on the title, The Pause That Refreshes. And I thought, oh, I don't know if I like that. And I was looking at the lady and the bathroom sign here. And then I saw Coca-Cola and I thought, I think that might have been one of Coke's slogans. And it was starting in 1929. So I guess the title works. Anyway, I scored this one 5 for composition, 5 for impact, and 5 for technical. This much work deserves a 15, I think.
Okay, something's not working on my computer. There we go. Well, it doesn't. There we go. The Pause That Refreshes by Terry Hamilton.
Oh, I was right. Terry's not here. He always watches on YouTube. he can't stay up this late. So, wow, that dashboard is red. Whew.
Togetherness.
All right, well, what can you say about this? This is the perfect wildlife shot. I can't see anything that, a person would ever want to change. I mean, he's got the catch lights in the eyes, the bokeh background and colors that complement the picture. The foreground element, this branch that helps add depth to the picture. And then to top it off, there's two animals. I don't know if these are lemurs or what they are, but two animals. So you can kind of, it gives a more emotional feel, something that we can kind of relate to as people.
I recognize.
Yeah, and that's just great. I mean, we should just look at it for a while before I score it. So I gave this one 5.55.
Togetherness by Dorothy Detler, 15 points.
Oh, good job, Dorothy. I thought for sure this must be Tony Horpel because it's these, animals that you'd find in the jungle or something,
Yeah, they're lemurs.
Yeah. Oh, lemurs. Okay, really nice. That's great.
Turnbull Pond.
Well, wouldn't we all love to be standing here right now and have it look just like this? Warm and sunny and green and some clouds. I mean, I can see why the person took this picture. I would have taken this picture too. Now, the only thing that, every judge will say this, if there was only a swan over here, one of those swans with its wings open, or maybe a red canoe somewhere on the lake. Of course, canoeists would probably get a ticket from one of the rangers, but it kind of needs that some other little thing in here, I think, to really make it, take it to the next level. Let's see what I write down here. So I scored this in 3 for composition, pretty straightforward, 4 for impact because of the color, and 4 for technical.
Turnbull Pond by Butch Shop, 11 points.
All right, Butch. I got to get out there this summer.
What is it?
Well, I checked, and this is actually a zebra beetle. Well, either that or it's a bug that was near the trim when somebody was painting their house. I'm really not sure which. It looks like it has paint splattered all over it. It's a great record shot. If I saw this bug, I'd be trying to get a photograph of it too. The background's just a little bit busy, but I can see why you were maybe afraid to pick the bug up and move it to a less distracting background. It looks like it's a little bit dangerous. Usually insects that are brightly colored like this are warnings to the birds, don't eat me, I'm poisonous or something. So that's about all I can really say as far as a record shot. I just, the background's a little bit distracting to kind of make it, an art piece or something like that. And so it needs to be simplified a little bit. And the square composition works though, because of those giant feelers that are going out from the front. But check out these pinchers on the front. You're lucky you probably didn't try to pick this thing up. Woo. So I scored this 3.33.
What is it by Judy Nesson, 9 points.
Well, I hope that wasn't out at your house, Judy, because I live kind of close to you.
Probably was. All right, so we have 2 pictures in digital general monochrome.
All right, we'll head back there.
Engineer's dream.
Well, I've known a few engineers and I'm certain this is what they dreamed of. This is the kind of thing that I find appealing. I mean, it's not for everybody, but I don't know, there's just something about structures and things that are put together in hard edge shapes and stuff that attracts me. I used to like sitting in a basement of a school and drawing stuff like this when I was in college. The exposure is really well done. There's just some really nice tones and grays. Nothing's blown out. It's kind of fun to look at the, like down in here, how there's these real hard edged lines, and then other places it's just this real soft gradient. The vent that's going out at the top kind of takes me out a little bit. I'm not a big fan of the composition, but I hope that whoever, the photographer is, I hope they spend a little time, doing other things. I've tried stuff like this, and sometimes when I zoom in on an area, it just loses the impact, and it's kind of hard to capture. So I hope you tried some other stuff. And I also hope that this isn't in your basement, because if it is, you're going to have one heck of a vista bill. That looks pretty massive. And I scored this 3 for composition, 3 for impact, and 4 for technical.
Engineer's Dream by John Cleacas, 10 points.
All right, John. Hope that's not in your basement, John. If it is, I'm going to come over though.
The Tree.
All right. Well, the first thing is I'm trying to work on a different title maybe. I mean, I understand it's a tree, but I think maybe another title would work better. It has a kind of a tone across the whole thing. I don't know if you use some filter, or if this is, a tone from Silver Effects Pro or whatever. I'm not a real big fan of the kind of purplish tone. I really like this tree and these, blossoms on it. I hope that you spent some time here and tried some other angles and different compositions. This is pretty straightforward. It's right in the middle. When I tried zooming in on it, I ended up with some just sections of the tree, and the flowers kind of reminded me of the clouds. So there was kind of a nice comparison between the flowers and the clouds. And there might even be a clue to some kind of a title there too. I don't know. So let's see. I scored this one 3 for composition, 3 for impact, and 3 for technical.
The Tree by Dorothy Detler, 9 points. Okay, we're now moving into digital subject color.
Well, I remember when we picked this title, I'm going to open it up in a second, but I was going to talk about minimalism just for a second. I remember when Steve Whitaker suggested this topic, and I thought, oh, that sounds horrible. Nobody's going to want to do that. And then I just kind of forgot about it. And so I ended up looking online, and I almost took a class in the fall on minimalist photography, and then I got sick and had to drop out. But once I saw what minimalist photography was, I really, really liked it. And, I think I'll try to shoot for it now. I've never really shot for it in the past. So some of the things that, I read about it is usually very, very simple, austere, soothing. There's usually a very obvious subject and then a lot of negative space where a person's eye can rest. They usually isolate the subject with very few distractions. You can usually see the rule of thirds applied, pretty easily to minimalist photography. Anyway, the first one is
All Alone.
And it's too bad everybody else has to follow this one, because this one's like perfect, I think. This is a minimalist photograph. The only way it could be more minimal, maybe, would be to crop out the sky and just have the plant and the sand and the little rivulets in the, in the sand here in the shadow, or to turn it to black and white. And I kind of played a little bit, and it looks good all those different ways, but I wouldn't change it. I really like this. Let's see here. So this is like a perfect example of the rule of thirds. You've got the subject down here in the bottom, third here, right on that, one of those little crossing lines. The plant and the shadow are in the bottom third of the picture. The sky's in the top third of the picture. I mean, it works perfect for that. So I scored this one 5, 5, 5.
All Alone by Donna Larson, 15 points.
Oh, Donna, I should have known. Oops.
Feather on the Sand.
Okay, well, this has a lot of the minimalist qualities. It's got one obvious subject matter, and it's kind of followed the rule of thirds. It might be down just a hair, but it's pretty much right in the the correct location. There's the nice juxtaposition between the softness of this feather and the airiness of it, and then the crunchy, rough texture of this sand and the density of the sand. The only thing I think that doesn't make it super minimal is the fact that the sand just has several colors in it, and it's kind of distracting. It takes me away from this nice soft little flower here, or feather. So I scored this one 4 for composition, 4 for impact, and 5 for technical, because it's a really well done photograph.
Feather on the Sand by Lori Carlton Smith, 13 points.
All right, Lori. I didn't see Lori tonight.
From Inside Out.
Well, wouldn't we all love to see this again? I mean, I don't know about you, but I haven't been anywhere for over a year, and I would love to get on an airplane. I was good. I followed the CDC guidelines, and I didn't travel, but man, do I ever want to do it. So this is a picture I could look at for a while and just, daydream of all the places I want to go. As far as a photograph, it's pretty much just a snapshot. It looks like maybe somebody probably did it with a cell phone. There's a little bit of some reflection here in the glass, but that's not disturbing. I like that. The blue and the orange, the complementary colors. I scored this one 3 for composition, 3 for impact, and 3 for technical.
From Inside Out by Sister Madonna Booter, 9 points.
I wonder where she was headed. She's been everywhere.
Glowing Seed Pods.
Okay, well, this one was, I think it was headed in the right direction for minimalism. They made that, the background black, but I think there's just too many seed pods, too many forms to really make this truly a soothing, restful, minimalist kind of picture. I don't know how they took this picture, but it's just totally out of focus. I hope the maker can see that. There's a little bit of a green line running around this one husk right here, the seed husk. So I don't know if, when they were trying to get the background dark, if, they over processed a little bit. The diagonal line is a good idea. The composition's pretty good. It's just, for me, it's not really as minimal as I would like, and I definitely would want some more focus. So this one is 3 for composition, 2 for impact, and 2 for technical.
Glowing Seed Pods by Jean Alleman, 7 points. Mr. Pica.
Another great wildlife image. It's got all the stuff you're supposed to have in a wildlife image. Got the catch light in the eye, the nice bokeh background with colors that are complement the animal. I love this little profile and super sharp picture. You can see every little whisker. It's got most of the stuff I would say. I mean, this is minimal, except for this rock down here is kind of pushing it a little past, you know, what I would call minimal. There's just a lot happening in the rock, you know. But otherwise, this is just a great wildlife picture here. It's kind of looking at his ears and all those little hairs right there. Wow. Huh. So I scored this in 5 for composition, 4 for impact, and 5 for technical.
Mr. Pica by Steve Shining, 14 points.
Way to go, Steve. I don't know where he finds those picas.
Purple Diamonds.
Well, this is the kind of thing that attracts me. I love architectural stuff. I love structure. I love man-made things. I love rivets and bolts and nuts and all that kind of stuff. All the things that the bird photographers probably hate, but I just like it because I always like to build stuff. But when you're attracted to things like this, I always find I'll get a picture of, you know, some really great pattern, and then there's really no focus, you know, center of focus, no place for my eye to kind of rest, you know, and then go back and look at the rest of the picture. And that's kind of what's happening here. I like the colors a lot. I wouldn't say this was very minimal. It's pretty busy to be a minimal photograph, even though I can see why they probably think it is, or, you know, why they submitted it. So I scored this one 4 for composition, 4 for impact, and 4 for technical.
Had something come up. Purple Diamonds by Tamara McGee, 12 points.
All right.
Second Amendment.
All right. Well, this one is definitely not minimal. I don't know if the photographer just entered it in the wrong category by mistake. So this is the only image that I'll kick out of the subject and put back in general. So, which doesn't really mean much. They just don't get 3 extra points, I guess. But it would fit much better in the general category. And I like the composition. I like that this revolver going at an angle here, and the overlapping handkerchief kind of adds a little bit of some depth to it. And I thought it was sort of interesting. The texture on the grip kind of mirrored the texture on this person's arm. Must be the goosebump texture or something like that you order. I don't know. And you know, of course, anytime there's something with lettering, you immediately, that attracts you the most. So you kind of focus right there. But I don't know if you would have wanted to tap the guy on the shoulder and say, hey, would you mind taking your Leatherman off? You know, it might have been dangerous. The person might try darkening this lower right corner just a little bit, maybe with a gradient. That might help. And I don't really see how you could get, I don't know what you do to try to make a minimalist picture other than taking the revolver out, placing it on, you know, some kind of surface, and then just, you know, focusing on some aspect of that. So at first I only had this scored 3 for composition, but then I kept looking at it and going, well, this is a good composition. So I changed it to 4 for composition, 4 for impact, and 3 for technical.
Second Amendment by John Clekus, 11 points.
I'll have to see if John put that in. I'll have to ask him if he put it in the wrong category.
Skyline.
All right, Skyline. Who doesn't love hot air balloons? Wow. And that's a great title. It's probably pretty easy to come up with once they saw this line of clouds across here. I like the panoramic composition. Kind of, you know, helps you sort of imagine that you're floating along in the sky, just like these people in the balloon. Pretty colorful for a minimalist picture, but there's only one subject here and it's in the correct spot. And, you know, so it works good for me for minimalism. And before I tell you the score here, I ran into a paraglider on Steptoe Butte yesterday. And he told me there's going to be a paragliding competition in Chelan in July. And if you Google it, you'll find it. I think it's July 11th to 16th. He said there could be as many as 100 paragliders in the sky at any one time. And so it sounds like if you want to take a trip to Chelan in July, it might be a super photo op. I don't really know. I scored this one 5 for composition, 4 for impact, and 4 for technical.
Skyline by David Powers, 13 points.
Yeah, David, you and Judith need to go to Chelan.
Snowy Egret.
Well, this is another great wildlife photo. Not real minimal, even though I know there's only one thing in it, but this wood texture, the background that has, you know, some elements going across it, kind of take it out of what I would call real minimal. Sorry, I don't talk this much. All my wife and I do is watch Netflix. The bird's pretty well centered, but it works. I think you could also have moved it over to the right a little bit and given a little more room on the left if you wanted to, and I think it would work just as well, maybe even better.
Okay.
There's a nice catch light. It's all sharp. It's in focus. So I scored this 4, 4 for composition, 4 for impact, and 5 for technical.
Snowy Egret by Beverly Harden, 13 points.
Wow. I don't know, everybody finds these cool birds, not in Spokane.
Nope. Solo.
Well, the photographer was on the right wavelength here as far as minimalism. Unfortunately, this bird is really not very sharp, and I don't think the background is either very much. I mean, in an ideal world, it would be nice to have the bird over to the right just a little more, and maybe instead of looking down, you know, looking over to the right a little bit more. So I scored this one 3 for composition, 3 for technical, and 2 for impact. I'm sorry, 3 for impact and 2 for technical.
Hold on.
It's okay. I got to take another drink here.
It's okay. I've got to. So 2 for impact.
No, it's 3, 3, 2. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
I goofed it up the first time.
Solo by Harvey Brown, 8 points. Structure.
Okay, this is another one that was judged by Steve Shining, so I'll tell you what he said. It's very minimal, so it does qualify for minimalism. It has only 3 elements: sky, building, and ladder. Good exposure throughout, and is very sharp and in focus. I love the shadow that's cast by the ladder. It would have been nice to have had some puffy clouds in the sky. Overall, this image is very well handled. He scored it 4 for composition, 4 for impact, and 5 for technical.
Structure by John Lepper, 13 points. Summer Dreams.
Well, this is a fun one, that's for sure. It looks like they've applied one of those topaz filters. It looks like some that I've tried, and I always kind of like these crazy things. Pretty colorful and interesting. The nice bokeh, you know, real plain background is the kind of thing you would see in minimalist photography. One element, you know, placed, you know, off to the side is also really good. I think the use of the filter, though, has made it just a little bit too bright and busy to really call it a real true minimal, you know, image. But I really like it, and I can see why the photographer, did this. So let's see. I scored this in 4 for composition, 4 for impact, and 4 for technical.
Summer Dreams by Elaine Giordoni, 12 points.
Right.
Sunset Galore.
Well, wouldn't we all love to be on a beach? We could take in that plane that Sister Madonna was on, and we could head to the beach somewhere. And just really a pleasant scene. I could see why the photographer chose to, take this picture. It looks a little bit gritty and kind of crunchy, like maybe they had to do some, extra processing because they were, facing right into the sun here. I don't really know, but you can see quite a bit of texture. Or it was on one of those smoky days we had last year, which even happened on the Oregon coast. And the reason I think it might be processed a little bit is because there's also some, kind of funny, well, this is probably solar flare down here in the corner, but there's these kind of chunky, colors that you see, along the bottom here a little bit. And I don't know if that's called banding or what that's called. Tim Lesser will have to fill us in later on what that is. I like the composition. And I really like the fact that this one figure has their hand up in the air. Normally you just get a couple people walking down the beach, but here you've got something active going on. It almost looks playful, like they're having a good time. I mean, you can read a little bit more into the image because of that. So that's kind of neat. But definitely this is not a minimalist photography or photograph. If you look online at minimalist photos, they don't have nearly this much going on, but this is a lovely place. So I scored this 4 for composition, 4 for impact, and 3 for technical.
Sunset Galore by Tony Horpel, 11 points.
Oh, Tony sees this stuff all the time. Darn him.
Oh, he lives there.
Yeah, I know.
Tables, chairs.
Well, this photograph it's well exposed. Everything's in focus. I can see where they were kind of thinking, well, maybe this is minimal. And it kind of is, but I just think there's too much going on to be a real minimalist photograph. And I think if they could have somehow just photographed one table in a big open space like this with the steps behind it, it would probably have been a better minimalist image. I think I've almost been to this place because these chairs and tables look really familiar. So I scored this 3 for composition, 3 for impact, and 3 for technical.
Tables, chairs by Steve Whitaker, 9 points. The Nature of Form.
Well, this kind of a picture is not for everyone. I like this kind of stuff. My wife was standing behind me and I kind of was going through some of the images and I asked her about this and I knew right away she did not like this. She doesn't like anything with snow, ice, anything cold, anything dead. She just wants happy, colorful images. But to me, I really like the lines and the textures and the things that are happening here in the ice. That stuff just intrigues me. And even though the leaf is not quite in that spot in the corner that everybody always tries to put things in, it works perfectly because they've left this dark band on the top and a dark band on the bottom that kind of keep you in the picture. Otherwise, I think those lines in the ice would just kind of shoot you right out of the picture. So it really holds right there. Yeah, let's see here. Okay, it's probably not super minimal because there's so much going on, but it works for me. So I scored this 5 for composition, 4 for impact, and 4 for technical.
The Nature of Form by Lori Pence, 13 points.
All right, I got to go out shooting with Lori Pence sometime, I guess.
To the Summit.
Well, this is a true minimalist photo. I think if, we didn't have minimalism as our topic, the judge would probably be saying, well, you need to have someone hiking right up here, or maybe 3 camels right on this little edge here. But for minimalism, this is perfect. You've got this big swooping curve, takes you up to this little, dune up here. And you can kind of imagine yourself standing there. If you were sitting in a room and looking at this picture and kind of contemplating it, I think you'd be able to put yourself in the image. I think you can almost, hear the breeze, the wind, starting to create these little, rivulets or whatever they call them in the sand here. So, yep, let's see. Yep, I scored this one 5, 5, 5.
To the Summit by Donna Larson, 15 points.
All right. Did Donna have 2 sand pictures? I can't remember. Who was the first one?
It was that sand with the plant.
The plant, yeah.
Wave.
Well, when this one first popped up, it really caught my attention because it's so unusual. It's just, I couldn't really even tell what was going on at first. If it was a wave or if something had kind of slid down the side of this little, bank here or what. But because we always get impact when we can come up with images that people have just never seen before. So, this is one that captured my attention, and it's definitely minimal. It's got lots of negative space. It's calming. Let's see. I think it might look good on a, wall of a trendy California apartment, maybe a beach house or something like that. And I scored this 5 for composition, 5 for impact, and 4 for technical. And I think maybe these 2 little white dots down here, a little piece of something probably floating in the water. I think maybe I'd take those out because once I saw those, they kept pulling me back over there.
Wave by Rosemary Desire, 14 points.
Oh, I guess that's the last one.
Okay, so now we're moving into digital subject monochrome.
How am I doing on time? Am I going too slow?
Oh, you're good. You're doing great.
Okay.
My dog doesn't think so, but you're doing wonderful.
Does he need to go out? You can pause that.
No, he's begging, but he'll be fine.
Okay. I see. Whoop, I went the wrong way.
One. DSM.
Yeah, I gotta get down here.
There you go. Okay. MG 2718.
Well, I don't know if they just accidentally put in their, number of the photograph, but I definitely work on a title. And I was trying to think, well, what would be a good title for this? I think maybe something like 23rd floor. And then people would look at it and try to count up and see if there was something happening on the 23rd floor. I don't know. But again, this is the kind of thing that interests me. I wanted to be an architect, so I've always just loved buildings and I like putting things together. But oftentimes when I take pictures like this, there's always just something that, it's missing something. I don't know what. I guess it's that one area to really focus on. This center building here, or the center column with all the row of windows is kind of, to me, that's kind of the center of interest. And I actually just held a piece of paper up a little, earlier and kind of just cropped just the top, the very, very top of this thing. So you couldn't really even tell that this was even a building. and you had all this big white negative space here. And I kind of liked that for a minimal picture. So whoever it is, you might just try that for fun. It may not appeal to you at all, but I really like that, the edge up here. Otherwise, the white kind of takes me out of the picture at the top. So I scored this 3 for composition, 3 for impact, and 4 for technical.
MG 2718 by Barbara Murray, 10 points. Monochrome diamonds.
Okay, and again, this is one of those images that I'd probably take myself. I see stuff like this and I go, wow, I like that really cool pattern. And then I look at it on my computer and I go, well, yeah, I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to look. And it's definitely too busy to be minimalist. Even though it is just, you know, a black and white, there's just still a little too much going on. And I don't know really how you would solve that, you know, being able to find one area that you could kind of focus on and call the, you know, your subject. So I scored this one 3 for composition, 3 for impact, and 3 for technical.
333.
Yeah.
All right. Monochrome diamonds by Tamara McGee, 9 points.
Sorry, I have to keep moving this over so I can get to the little clicker over here.
Mountain shadows.
Well, this is cool. This reminds me of an airbrush class I took back in the 70s. And you'd take a piece of paper and you'd cut some little pattern, or you'd tear a little pattern along the edge. Then you'd lay it down and you'd spray with an airbrush from the dark to the light, and you'd create this sort of effect of a hill or a shadow. And I sucked at it and I hated cleaning the airbrush, so I didn't do that very much. So I'd really like to know how the photographer got this effect. It looks pretty neat. There's a minimal number of compositional elements. So I think it qualifies for minimalism. And the only thing probably when you have a good picture, then somebody starts looking at it more and more and more, you start to see things. And I saw this little dot right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. And then there's a little line beside it here and a little line beside it there. And that started annoying me. They should probably try to get that out of there. So I scored this one 5 for composition, 5 for impact, and 4 for technical. But I want to know how they did it.
Mountain shadows by Elaine Giadone.
Ooh.
14 points.
Great, Elaine. You'll have to tell me.
On final.
Well, this is definitely a minimal, for photograph. Generally, a judge would probably say, well, there's four birds. It would be better if there was 3. But really what there is there's 2 sets of birds. There's 3 birds over here on the left, and then there's 1 bird on the right. So you got 2 odd numbers, a 3 and a 1. And the 3 birds on the left are all kind of looking down towards this bird on the right. I don't know if these are egrets or cranes or what, but I've tried to photograph birds flying. I usually come up with a blob in the sky, and this person managed to catch their really good silhouette. All their heads are showing, their wings are showing, and you can see the spread of the feathers. So I compliment them on that. And if I could, shoot a bird with that kind of a silhouette, I'd probably do it more often. As far as minimal, I'm not really sure I like this sort of gray background. So I tried punching up the whites and the exposure a little bit. Let's see, what was it I did here? Yeah, I boosted the white, the highlights and the whites, and then took the blacks down a little bit and turned this background into all white. And I really like that a lot better for a minimalist image. So the maker might try that. Maybe they'll like it better. Maybe they'll just think I'm, stupid. I don't know. But I gave this a 5 for composition, 5 for impact, and a 4 for technical.
On final by Harvey Brown, 14 points.
All right, Harvey. I was going to guess it was one of those women that always take the pictures of the birds.
On the alert.
Well, it's too bad this one had to pop up right after the last one, because it's another bird, but it's just really, really, really out of focus. I'm guessing that, whoever did this maybe really zoomed in on one little area of a photograph, thinking that they were going to get this, really nice black shape and it'd be very minimal, but it ended up just being kind of, I don't know, it just doesn't really work very well. There's all sorts of crunchy stuff around the edges. So I gave this one a 2 for composition, because the composition is not too bad, a 2 for impact, and a 1 for technical.
On the alert by Sister Madonna Booter, 5 points.
Okay. Oops.
Peaceful. Lie down.
Well, here's another flower photograph. I don't know if this will be by the same person or not. I like this kind of muted, almost disappearing flower. It almost looks like it's in the fog or something. I could see this hanging on a wall in a kind of trendy place, where people have to sit and contemplate something. Because I think that, you kind of really want to make this sharper with your eye. You kind of want to see every little bit of it when you're looking at it. I'm not so sure I like this, just all this white at the top. I don't know if they crop down a little bit, if it would work better, but to me, even though that's a nice spot to rest your eye, I think it almost fights the subtleness of this flower down here for me. So I scored this 3 for composition, 4 for impact, and 3 for technical.
Peaceful by Lori Pence, 10 points.
All right, Lori.
Peak.
Yeah, the moment this popped up, in fact, I don't even know if you can get it all on the screen here. You guys are overlapping it on mine. So it reminded me of a Japanese scroll painting. It looks like a hokusai or something like that. And it would be really cool if there was some black calligraphy going down the, vertically here on the side, and then a little red chalk mark like the Japanese do on their artwork, the maker's signature. The mountain being in the middle and all this empty space out here in this really subtle background, it draws you right to the mountain all the time. You can't get away. You look away and you kind of come right back to it. Now, if this was true Japanese scroll painting, there would probably be a little guy down here hunched over with a sack of rice on his back, just kind of hiking along, maybe a mule or something behind him. I don't know. But this is fun. I like this one. I gave this 4 for composition, a 5 for impact, and a 5 for technical.
Peak by David Powers, 14 points.
Oh, I should have guessed. David always has these really long panos.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah, that was cool.
Reflected.
Okay, we got another bird here, but this time it's closer to the water, so you can begin to see some of the water in the background. Definitely a minimalist picture. I think they could have even made it a little more of a pano, maybe, taken a little off the top and the bottom and added more to the right, and make it a David Powers pano, so the bird had even more room to fly. And the one thing I probably would do, I like the reflection, but this little piece of the reflection here, this little blob, looks like a little fat boomerang or something. I think I would just take that out because it's confusing to me as to kind of what's going on. And I think I'd like it better with just a single reflection. So I scored this. Oh, and you might try with this one too, playing with the highlights and see what happens if you can get, you know, what happens with the background. But I scored it 4 for composition, 4 for impact, and 4 for technical.
Reflected by Rosemary Desire, 12 points. Someday it will be sand.
Well, that's a good title and makes us all reflect, especially us older folks. Kind of depressing. So this one, the sand, is not quite as distracting as that one that was in color, where there were just all those little spots of color. This one just becomes a big field of texture. And there's a little bit of some stuff going on here, which is I kind of like. It's almost as if the water has slipped by this rock, or maybe the rock is slowly trying to crawl its way out of here. I don't know, or something. But and I think the rock, maybe you might try doing a little something with the contrast. Maybe see what happens. It almost looks a little too flat, even though that's probably exactly what it looked like. Or, you know, it might be nice if it was wet or something. Maybe the color and stuff would show up, you know, the pattern would show up a little bit better. I scored this 5 for composition, 4 for technical. No, yeah, and sorry, 5 for composition, 4 for technical, and 5 for impact.
Oh, just a minute.
I'm wearing out.
That's okay. Oh, someday it will be sand by Tim Lesser, 14 points.
All right, Tim.
It's actually a piece of shell.
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay.
Okay, this is minimal. The Black Knight.
Well, generally when we have a subject matter, I know a lot of us just kind of look through our files and try to find a picture that fits. This looks like a picture that the photographer thought about the, the subject, and then came up with an idea and photographed it. Now, I may be totally wrong, but that's what it kind of looks like to me. And it's definitely minimal. There's one subject right here. And I like all the negative space around it. I'm not a big fan of the shadow going right down here and pointing to the corner of the picture. You know, I think maybe if the knight was moved up just a little bit more to the left, so that wasn't going right down at the corner, or if maybe they'd moved the lighting a little bit and just shortened the photo a little bit, and then it might have worked a little bit better that way. But anyway, I compliment them on the image. It's really kind of fun. I scored this, let's see, 4 for composition, 5 for technical, and 5 for impact, and 5 for technical. 4, 5, 5.
The Black Knight by Terry Hamilton, 14 points.
Uh-huh.
And our final picture, The Branch.
All right, The Branch. This is another one of those pictures that I think would really look cool, probably in a New York City loft that belongs to an artist, or maybe a famous photographer. Nice little black frame around it. You know, it's really a stark picture. It almost looks like it's color, but I'm assuming, and I'm given the benefit of the doubt, that they just used a brown, sort of a sepia tone throughout the whole thing. I think it would really look cool, huge too. Just a really, really big picture. This branch is well placed. It fills the space up quite nicely. Some people would say, oh, it's too close to the top up here, but I'm fine with that. I really like it. And I tried zooming in, to see if this was just some sort of artifact or if that's a shadow. And I'm thinking it's a shadow because it kind of disappears in some places. So I'm not sure how they got this. super detailed picture. I thought there was a little dot. And I was gonna say, oh, they should take this out. And then when I zoomed in really close, I could see a little stem there. So the detail, there's just tons of detail in the picture. And I think this works really well as a minimal, even though it's got a lot of little, things going on, but they're using one element line and, basically that's it. So I scored this one 5.55. And I think maybe, yeah, I was going to say even the title is minimalist, The Branch.
The Branch by Tim Lesser, 15
yeah.
points. And that's it for tonight.
Let's see if I can unshare my screen here. Whoops, stop sharing. Okay, everybody's big again. You might, if you haven't already submitted, or not, our submissions for print night, are they due tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
That is
tonight.
correct.
Okay, so if somebody's going to do it, as soon as you log off, do it. And go ahead and submit something that you never plan on printing. Because you
Yeah,
don't have
might
to
as well.
print it. Let's have some more pictures next time, and I'll talk even faster if you get more pictures, okay?
And get more horse.
Yeah, I'll get more horse.
Well, thank you, everybody. And that was a very enjoyable group of pictures. I really enjoyed that show. And
Thank you,
looking
John.
forward to print night and celebration night. So encourage your friends to come to both. And this was very enjoyable. Everybody agree?
Yep.
Yes.
Fun.
Okay.
Thank you, John, very much.
Thank you,
All
John.
right.
I've saved my Gonzaga champagne that I didn't get to open the other night. I'll open it on our last meeting of the night, okay? So
Excellent.
There you
hold
go.
your glass up,
Gonzaga
I'll
time
fill
of
it.
year. Yes. I'm a Gonzaga alum.
All right, good.
Night, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.